Political socialization and American political culture. How we develop our beliefs about politics. Political culture is a basic set of values and beliefs that's shared. The United States has an interesting political culture because we are a nation of immigrants, so we have a very diverse set of political beliefs. We have lots of groups that have very different ideas. However, most Americans tend to fall in what we call the centrist position or political moderates. What we'll notice, though, is that there are very distinct subcultures that have emerged in American political culture, and these can be based upon region of the country, religion, ethnicity, or culture. Similar to the basic tenets of a healthy democracy, there are some basic American values that are mostly shared by Americans across the country. So most Americans believe in the idea of liberty, equality, and majority rule in a democracy. One of the issues that causes a lot of sticking points in a healthy democracy is that minority rights must be assured. And that can be as simple as maybe in a community there's something on a public school building that references the Christian God, and the majority of people that live in that community are Christian, or they would say they believe in God. But in a healthy democracy, you have to have the rights of the minority, who could be other religions or atheist or agnostic, and their rights have to be assured as well. And sometimes that creates controversy or problems in society. Other basic values are limited governments, where we restrict what the government can and can't do to ensure the will of the people. Another basic American value is civic duty, our responsibility as citizens and community members to the government and our community, along with private property. We tend to support a capitalist system and guaranteed private property ownership, although there are varying opinions as to the degree of private property ownership there should be. Political socialization is the process through which an individual acquires his or her political beliefs. It influences our identity, and what we find is that informal learning is more common and important in political socialization than formal learning, which references the idea of home and family life being more important to developing beliefs about politics than, say, schools. Governments tend to focus their socialization efforts, though, on young adults because they need those young adults to grow up and support whatever the current governing system is. And people's political orientations grow stronger as they age, so it makes more sense for the governments to focus their efforts on socialization politically at the younger age. Important influences on the shaping of political identity include family and home, education in schools, and the mass media. Clearly, the most important influence that researchers have found for the shaping of political identities comes from family and home life. It is the most strong when both parents identify with the same political party, and most young adults follow in the political leanings of their parents, which is why that it makes sense that about 60% of adults still have the same party affiliation of their parents. Education in schools is the chief way that the government tries to socialize the young into the same political structure that exists in that nation state already, primarily because the government want the youth to grow up to be supportive citizens, and political scientists find repeatedly that people's party or political identification only grows stronger as they age, so it makes sense to start attempting to socialize young people into the existing government structure. Finally, we have the media. This is the new first source of information in some ways as children age. What researchers are finding over and over again is that traditional news media does not attract young adults. That's not where they get their primary source of information. Since the early to mid 2000s, what researchers find is that information shows that are built around satire and humor, such as Jon Stewart's The Daily Show or Stephen Colbert's The Colbert Report, are the way that young adults between 18 to 35 are primarily getting a lot of their information regarding government and politics. And so it's changed sort of the way the news media operates, and they're trying to address the younger crowd that's not interested in the news format of the traditional media. It's one of the reasons why Stephen Colbert's popularity has landed him as David Letterman's replacement for. So as we start looking at public opinion and how public opinion is measured by politicians and researchers, those that have interest, it's important to remember these three primary areas of influence in political socialization, and why, and looking at why our political beliefs are so firmly cemented, and why we believe the things that we do about American government, because it truly relates back to the very beginning and the very same issues that emerged in the Constitutional Convention. Our beliefs are shaped by how large we think the national government should be, and what kind of daily influences and daily means of access and control the government should have in our lives. It truly breaks down to how big and how far-reaching do we think the national government should be. It truly shapes what we think about government and politics.